morning, it's Barbara. Thank you for joining me for coffee. So, I gotta get going. I have a busy day today. It's almost noon, so I'm late. Thank you for coming. We have to go pick up our car. It's been inspected and it's ready to go. So, on my way home, I'm gonna stop and grocery shop because today's my cooking day in the kitchen. Activities. So I will be making the party salad, which is a keto version of the family recipe that you've heard about every Christmas since any of these things started. And so it's a gelatin-based dessert. We called it salad. We serve it at dinner, but it's very desserty. The original recipe calls for mayonnaise and whipped cream and cream cheese and gelatin, so that's the basis of it. And then it's got a lot of fruit in it. And the original recipe has, canned fruit cocktail, canned crushed pineapple, canned mandarin oranges. So that's the recipe. But I'm substituting all those canned fruits with blueberries, fresh blueberries, and fresh strawberries because those are much lower in carbs and so are a good substitute in that, and that will be delicious. But we'll serve that at dinner time, even though it's really dessert. But I'll make lots of it because Aura and I both love it. Dennis will eat some of it, and we're always looking for something, a little something to have. And I'm making key lime pie. So that's my day today. Oh, and I'm making crackers today too, because our crackers are getting low. Aura and I eat the crackers. Dennis doesn't really eat very many of them, but she and I are eating them. And, that's one thing we're discovering with a third person living here full time, that, sort of the rhythm that we had gotten into in terms of making things and how long they last and everything, that's changed. So, we're working on our new rhythm, but meanwhile, Aura and I need crackers. So, there you go. So Dennis made his cheesecake yesterday, and he made the brine for the turkey. So he'll be dealing with the turkey today and thawing it and getting it ready to be brined. And yeah. So anyway, so I'm doing, I think, the final shopping for the Thanksgiving meal today. It's probably going to be crowded, but not as crowded as it will be tomorrow, for sure. And my list is not that long, so it should be okay. And then I'm going to come and, I say cook, but actually the crust on the pie crust is made with butter and almond flour, and it gets baked. But then the key lime pie is like a custard, gelatin-based custard, and of course the party salad isn't cooked either. So the crackers are the only thing I'm going to actually be cooking today. So that's the plan. I had a very nice visit with my family yesterday. My brother and my niece were there for lunch. I thought maybe the travel gods were against me because I got within about a half an hour of my destination when I rounded a curve on a 4-lane highway, and my 2 lanes were stopped dead. All kinds of trucks in front. As far as I could see, everything was stopped dead. Luckily, I was right at the last exit before. This was the last exit before a big 3-mile hill that's very steep, so that, the trucks go up at like 10 miles an hour. I mean, it's really steep and around and whatever, and there's nowhere to get off that road. Mine was the last exit until you're all the way on the other side of the mountain and, 6 miles. So I pulled off. There was a convenience store gas station right there. And so I pulled in the driveway and called Dennis and said, can you look at this online and see if you can figure out anything that, what's going on. So I'm there anyway, so I peed, and he called me back, and he said he was looking on Waves, and it was going about 5 miles an hour at the beginning of that stoppage, and the stoppage was only about a quarter of the way up the hill was the beginning of it. But so that meant it was 2 miles long. like, oh. So I called my brother and said, you know, the gods are against me. I don't, you know. And he's like, oh, well, go around. You go back the way you came for a few miles and then come around, go over the mountain. It'll be a beautiful drive. It's a longer drive, but it'll be a beautiful drive and you won't be stuck in traffic. And I'm like, okay, well, that's a good idea. So I looked on my phone to figure out how to do that. And, you know, then I went on my merry way. So I had to go and get back on the same highway, but going back the other direction. And I was following a truck. And as I came up to the entrance to the way I had originally been going, there was not a bit of traffic. Nothing. As far as the eye could see. Looked normal. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to take the risk. And I got back on my highway. So I pulled off that highway for about 15 minutes and it all cleared out. And I couldn't figure out why. Well, they had two temporary signs before the hill that said, you know, right lane closed ahead. But throughout the whole rest of the drive, there was no indication of what was going on. They probably had some kind of a temporary work crew on that road, and they told them to get the heck off that road. Look what you're doing. But I didn't see anything. No cones at the side of the road. No indication of where that might have been or why. So I have no idea. But I thought, I am never going to be able to visit my parents. I said, I'm not turning around now. I was a half an hour away. Anyway. But I got there in plenty of time and had a nice visit with my brother and my niece who were there having lunch with my parents. And the five of us took care of, you know, there was some misunderstanding or something that had to be dealt with in one of their bank accounts that, you know, my dad hasn't had access to a computer in 10 years. And, you know, and they had sent him a thing saying, you have to get on your account and click this button. And I'm like, and we didn't do it in time. And so he got charged a fee. So we called them. A very lovely lady named Carla answered, and we were able to sort it out. Thank heavens my niece was there because I needed, you know, my college senior niece to do the technology for me to get everything working because my dad doesn't have his Wi-Fi doesn't work because they can't remember their password, and so they're using like the place's Wi-Fi, which we couldn't. Anyway, whatever. I was just very grateful that she was there to help me. She was a huge help. So that was good. I listened to my little revenge YouTubes on going and coming home, and so that made the time pass. And, you know, I was tired when I got home because, of course, I didn't sleep very well. Apparently, it's not the actual alarm. I don't know. Anyway, so I was tired. And you know, I forget how we got on the subject. We were talking about Thanksgiving and everything. And I said, oh, I didn't make any of my pumpkin stuff for a while. I make a keto version of pumpkin pie with no crust. So it's like pumpkin custard, and I call it pumpkin stuff. And I just use the recipe on the Libby's can, and I just substitute heavy cream. They use evaporated milk. I put heavy cream, and they use sugar, and I use Splenda. And otherwise, it's exactly the same, and it translates to a delicious pumpkin pie-ish, you know, recipe that, anyway, so I made that last night because it really doesn't take very long to just whip that up. So I made that. So we have that in the garage. The nice thing about Thanksgiving area, oh, here's Aura. Thanksgiving time, and, you know, it's chilly, and I'm going to put you on the video. Okay. Say hi.
Hi there, everybody.
Is that the garage is, oops, sorry. The garage is like an auxiliary refrigerator. So pumpkin stuff is in the refrigerator. I did taste it last night. It turned out good. So we're going to have lots of goodies to eat by the time all is said and done. And of course, leftovers at Thanksgiving are the best leftovers. So anyway, that's what's happening with me. Oh, shoot. I forgot my blanket. Hold on. I want to talk to you about my blanket. Okay, so I have been working on it, and I was really kind of shocked at how much I was enjoying working on it. I mean, this really is hitting my needs in terms of Does it have a front and a back? I don't think so. My need for, you know, crafting without thinking. So this is how far I've gotten. And so I stopped. I was just ready to start my next couple rows of the cream color. And so I took it upstairs and put it on the bed. And it's wider than it was the last time I tried it when I put it on the bed, when I just had the first few couple rows. It was about what I showed you the other day. And last night it was longer, well, wider than it had been when it was just the white. And it's still at a length that seems like it would be okay. I mean, it's a little longer than I want. My problem is that I get hot at night and I want to be able to stick my foot out through all the covers. So having really long covers is really annoying to me. You know, along the side of my bed where I'm trying to put my feet out. But it's okay now. But my problem is that every time I add another 3 rows, it seems to widen by 4 inches. Now I know this isn't as wide as it was because I took Mary Ann's advice and I counted the number of baubles or whatever you call these. What? Clusters. Clusters is a good word. I counted the clusters and I'm 33 clusters or whatever you call these less than the old blanket. So I have significantly cut down on how wide it is. However, when my calculation, because based on what I thought I did, was that I should have 1 entire row of color left on the old blanket when I finish doing the 4 rows of color on the new blanket. And that is not the case. I have 2/3 of a row left on the old blanket, not a whole row, which means it's wider than I expected just based on this quick and dirty math that I was doing. So my question is, or my thinking is, I haven't gotten very far. It's up every time I try it on, it's longer or it's wider. Every time I try it on the bed, it goes down further and further, and I'm worried that when I'm done, it's going to be too wide again. And how does that happen? There are physics in the world that you have to think about, and I don't know how this physics is working. I mean, I understand that it's stretchy and open and everything, but anyway, I'm seriously contemplating taking this out back to my foundation row, measuring along my foundation row, and stick like another 15 inches, put a stitch marker right there, and tear this little tiny thing back to that stitch marker and get rid of this much more. Because even if this width of this blanket doesn't grow another inch as I add more rows, I would still be very happy with this much less on each side of the blanket. And I feel like at the rate I'm going, it's going to be down to the floor on both sides once it's all finished. I mean, I'm not going to do anything to tear this out before, like 8 o'clock tonight. Maybe what I'll do is I'll put this aside till I hear your advice and just read my book that came in the mail yesterday and not do this at all. But I'm worried that every time I put this on my bed, it's wider and wider. And I'm happy to take it out from here, take out another 15-20 inches from the foundation chain and just start over again. Please give me your advice. What am I doing wrong? Why is it growing so much? And it doesn't look, you know, I mean, it's not flaring out or anything. Anyway, what am I doing? And give me advice. Please, please. I need your advice. So there you go. Meanwhile, so I'm not doing anything with this today. I'm not going to do anything with this today till I hear from you guys and you help me out here. You guys are crocheters. Anyway, I am not going to make a giant blanket that's way too giant. And, you know, I just can't do that. I'm not. And I know it's ridiculous, but I'm okay taking this out. Tell me why I shouldn't take out those 20 inches, 15 inches or whatever. Let me know if there's a problem with what I plan on doing or I'm thinking of doing. What do you say about that? Anyway, I look like a hobo. I gotta go. I gotta go shopping and cooking today. So I will let you know how that goes tomorrow. But I won't work on my blanket tonight till I have more advice from you guys. Thank you so much in advance. And I hate when people say thank you in advance. It feels so coercive. If you have any ideas, I'd appreciate hearing them. Anyway, please take good care of yourselves. Please, please stay safe and stay sane.